Hey, how's it going, everybody? Charlie Wilson here, aka Sinister Charlie. Welcome back. Um, yeah, I have to apologize to somebody in the comments because I said I was going to do this a while ago, and I just keep forgetting about it. So I'm sorry about that. But yeah, they been wanting me to react to this. The meme battle that no one is talking about, the Battle of Fuengirola. I don't know. What. Anyway, animated history of Poland. The arts, it reminds me of Oversimplified. But yeah, let's go ahead and check it out. I'm sure we'll learn a lot, and it's kind of goes together with the Polish video we just watched from Fat Electrician. So yeah, let's check it out. Boop.
So I sent the expedition out yesterday with about 1,500 men to start. So you'll outnumber the Polish forces about 10 to 1? Right, I'm thinking we've got this one in the bag. Sir, have you checked the latest stat report from the Math Geeks yet? No, I haven't actually. Thanks for the reminder.
It's good numbers.
Oh no. In case you missed the last video, History House Productions now has a Patreon. All donations will directly support the channel and the very special history-themed mixtape I will be dropping when we reach 100,000 subscribers. All links will be in the description. It's the Napoleonic Wars, and the French are besieging the British in Spain.
Yeah, that
and
makes sense.
The Portuguese are there for some reason too. By 1810, Cadiz was the last city standing between...
Cadiz nuts. Sorry.
Napoleon and his domination of Spain, and pretty much everyone knew it. If the French were able to concentrate enough troops on the city, it would almost certainly fall, and the British would not have that crap. To prevent further French buildup, the British and their allies started making surprise visits along the Spanish coast in order to distract the French. It was for this purpose that the British approved a strike on the castle of Fuengirola. To accomplish this side quest, the British pulled together a task force of 1,285 British regulars, 640 Spanish riflemen, and 516 multinational troops, all under the command of Major General Andrew Thomas Blaney, who was to be joined by several thousand Spanish rebels once he landed. Opposing Blaney's force were 490 Polish and French troops spread out over 3 garrisons. The town of Alaurin, furthest from the castle, housed 200 Polish infantry and 80 French dragoons, commanded by corps.
Dragoon is such a cool name for a, I believe they're mounted cavalry. It's just a pretty cool name.
Leader Ignacy Bronisz. The town of Mijas, closest to Fuengirola, contained a small garrison of 60 Polish soldiers under the command of Lieutenant Eustachy Helmicki. The castle of Fuengirola itself, however, was garrisoned by just 150 Poles, commanded by Captain Franciszek Makosiewicz.
There's
so,
a lot of
considering this is
crazy
Polish
names
history,
here.
these seem like pretty standard odds. Despite their overwhelming numerical superiority, the British expedition started out on the wrong foot. The naval arm of Blaney's task force was supposed to be headed by the British ship of the line Rodney and the Spanish ship of the line El Vencedor, but the Spanish ship was so trash that Blaney just left without it and the 900 soldiers it was transporting. Furthermore, Blaney had to leave the Rodney as well in order to tow the El Vencedor, depriving him of both of his biggest ships. It's kind of like when your mom tells you that she's leaving in 5 minutes with or without you, except this time she actually followed through. Blaney's
My mom did that all the time, so I don't... No, I mean, she just left. She never came back.
Finished flotilla then sailed to Ceuta to pick up the 640 Spanish soldiers. Arriving on October 12th, a Friday, the Spanish were taken aboard and immediately became grouchy that the British only had beef to feed them. After all, after getting on a ship to literally go kill other Catholics, I too would be worried that God would judge me instead for eating meat on a Friday. 2 days later, with or without God's favor, the task force landed a few miles to the west of Fuengirola with 1,500 men, less than 400 of which were British, which, let me just say, for the one country that has ever left the EU, the British sure are okay with having other Europeans fight for them. Speaking of other Europeans, remember those thousands of Spanish rebels that were supposed to show up? Oh, good, an envoy. How many more of you guys are there? Well, I think my cousin Juan is supposed to show up around noon.
Which Juan?
Wow, you guys sure are a tight-knit army, huh? Well, I mean, yeah, there's only 12 of us. Wait, what? However, the 12 Spanish guerrillas soon made themselves useful by scouting ahead of the main force and ambushing some Poles who were guarding a herd of cattle. So, good job, I guess. Expecting the outnumbered Poles to surrender without a fight, Blaney sent an envoy offering terms if the garrison surrendered the castle. Mikoshevich responded by telling the British to come and take it. Gang, it feels good to be a gangster. Now, unlike...
I don't think it works with that voice. But, okay. It's funny.
Some of us, Blaney hadn't learned how to handle rejections, so he responded with punitive violence. Or at least he wanted to. His gunboats hadn't came yet, so he just kind of sat there for a while. Later in the afternoon, though, once his ships arrived, Blaney ordered a naval bombardment of the castle walls. This was kind of a problem for the Poles inside the castle. They had 4 small cannons, but their Spanish gunners had mysteriously disappeared as soon as the British showed up, and none of the Poles had ever shot a cannon before. Thankfully, beginner's luck is a thing, and on the first volley, the Poles sunk a British ship and then damaged several others, forcing the flotilla away from the walls. This irritated Blaney, who ordered his multinational troops to storm the castle from the land,
it's
where
very
they were
progressive.
Immediately repulsed by the Polish cannons, which had switched over to grape shot they had just found in a closet, and I'm not making that up. Blaney tried again, but finally gave up for the day when the commander of the British regiment was killed and the Spanish refused to fight because, and I quote, "good Catholics don't fight on Sundays." Which...
Okay.
No hate to any Spanish people watching this, but with a work ethic like that, it's a miracle you ever retook your peninsula.
Yeah, you stupid. Oh, no, I thought we were getting into this whole anti-Spanish thing. No, no, I think don't Israelis fight on Saturdays if they have to? I think there's a rule in the book that says that you can fight. Anyway, I don't know.
Meanwhile, a few miles away in Mijas, Lieutenant Helmetsky overheard all the commotion in the distance, and after sending word to the larger garrison in Ala Odrin, decided to sneak over to the castle to reinforce Mikoshevich with his 60 men. Climbing out through the windows of their barracks under the cover of darkness, Helmetsky and his 60 Poles probably tiptoed or something over to the castle and were shocked to find the route completely unguarded. Turns out that the route was unguarded because Blaney had been arguing with the Spanish commander about fighting on Sundays and wasn't able to convince the Spanish to go occupy the road between Mijas and Fuengirola until after the Poles had already...
I honestly, I would have trouble pronouncing those names too. I'm not even going to attempt it.
Escaped. Now sitting outside in the pouring rain with God probably furious at them for doing things on the Sabbath, the Spanish finally decided that it would just be easier to attack Mijas outright. After all, there was no way that the 60 Poles in there could resist the 600 Spanish troops. In the time that it took the Spanish troops to reach the town, Bronish's 280 men from Ala Odrin had marched down to Mijas and set up an ambush for them. In the ensuing battle, 20 Spaniards were killed or wounded and 40 were captured. Bronish then began to slowly advance on Blaney's left flank. However, Blaney wasn't completely idle during the night either. He finally started to unload his cannons from the transport ships and set up 2 artillery emplacements. But by the morning, the Poles still refused to budge, so Blaney sent another envoy offering terms of surrender to the garrison. Guys, I need your help. The British are sending another ambassador to negotiate a surrender, but I already used my witty one-liner yesterday. Well, if you don't have a good comeback, you don't have to let him in. Oh yeah, I could just... not let the envoy in. Gang, it feels good to be a gangster.
Okay.
Unfortunately for the Poles, the Rodney and El Vencedor finally arrived just then, reinforcing the British with almost 1,000 more soldiers. The Poles were now outnumbered almost 12-1. Now confident in victory, Blaney ordered his redcoats to withdraw to the beach so that they could collect rations, which took about an hour. 1 minute to eat.
Sheep balls or something. I guess. All right.
Eat their food and 59 minutes to cry about having to eat British food. In
Yeah,
the
that's a good
meantime,
point.
however, the Poles had spotted 10 dragoons from Bronish's vanguard
dragoon.
and launched an attack on the remaining 1,000 allied troops guarding the cannons, routing them with the help of the dragoons. The Poles then captured the British cannons and began shelling the British on the beach with their own guns. We're gonna be killed by our own cannons. How humiliating. Wait, if we get hurt by our own guns, think of all the money we can make in the lawsuit. You're right.
It's a good point.
Hey, hit my arm or something. We're gonna be rich. However, now reinforced
arm
by
or
the troops
something.
from the El Vencedor, Blaney launched a counteroffensive and recaptured the cannons, but not before the Poles had blown up most of the ammunition. Blaney then saw a
What's
large
a
body
grape
of
shot?
men approaching his left flank. Assuming they were the rest of the long overdue Spanish guerrillas, Blaney told his men to hold their fire and approach the reinforcements with a small escort. Unfortunately, the reinforcements were actually Bronish's 200 Polish infantry who had just arrived from Mijas. Hey, you're the Spanish reinforcements, right?
Sure.
No habla inglés. Wow. Those Spanish sure are dumb. I'll put the bag over his head. With their leader now kidnapped by the Poles, the British
That's pretty
retreated
funny.
to the beach again, where they were once more bombarded by their own artillery that the Poles had recaptured. Only the firepower of
Well, no offense to the Polish people, but good on you, because generally you don't hear about Polish victories too much.
the Rodney and El Vencedor kept the Poles at bay long enough for the British and their allies to escape into the Mediterranean. The Battle of Fuengirola had been a disaster for the British. They left behind 65 dead, 70 wounded, and 200 men, 300 rifles, 5 cannons, and 60,000 rounds of ammunition captured. The Poles lost just 20 soldiers.
Wow.
Makosiewicz, Helmetsky, and Bronish all received the Legion of Honor from Napoleon himself. Blaney would remain
Word
in French
up.
captivity for over 4 years, and if you look through British casualty records from the Napoleonic Wars, the 3 pages that cover the Battle of Fuengirola have all been torn out.
Oh, yeah.
The British and Polish have never fought each other again. Connor, is it finally happening?
What?
Is this a Polish story with a happy ending?
I called it. That's funny. That and the French, the Polish and the French. It's easy to bag on them.
Napoleon would lose the war and Poland would be conquered by Russia just 5
Oh,
years
there you
later.
go.
No, stop! Take it back!
Dee-da-bee-bop-bop-a-dee-ba-da-bop. Let's get some nice music in the end. We'll all hang out and be friends. Beep bop boop bop 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 beep. Okay, I'm not gonna get better than that. I was grooving. Yeah, there you go. I that was good. That was funny, man. I was a little cynical when I first saw this, and I was like, you know what? No, that was pretty good. Obviously, it reminds me of Oversimplified, but yeah, I've never heard about that battle, or yeah, you generally don't hear good Polish war stories. They usually end very badly. But yeah, there you go. Thank you for the suggestion, by the way. I finally got to it. I know it's been like a couple of months. There's just other videos get in the way and stuff, but I try to get to every suggestion I can. And I felt bad when I saw that comment. I was like, oh, I said I was going to do that. Damn it. So we did it. Yeah, if you guys want to see more of that, let me know, or anything like that. Put suggestions down in the comments. Please like and subscribe. Makes me feel real good inside. Helps out the channel. And yeah, it's Thanksgiving when I'm recording this, so happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope you're all having a great, grand, wonderful time. My family does Thanksgiving on the weekend, so I'll be doing that. All right. Bye.